Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. My name is Justin Nava, founder, owner, runner of Nava Church Marketing. And today I want to go into some of the red flags that you're going to see when you're looking to outsource your marketing. This is what I'm about to share with you is going to be applicable whether you're hiring an agency or whether you're hiring a freelancer, because there are so many people who are ready to take advantage of your church. And the toughest part is, Pastor, they don't even understand they're taking advantage of your church. They're not out there specifically to get your money and get a poor product. They may be out there thinking they're giving you a good product. They may be out there thinking they're giving you a good deal. They may be out there thinking they are serving your church when really they are a hindrance and an obstacle to the people God's calling you to reach. Pastor, you have to outsource. Youth pastor, you have to outsource. Secretary, administrator, you have to outsource. Even the church communicators must outsource. Someone's got to take it over. You can't do it all. You've got too much to do. And church communicator, if you don't have enough to do, I don't think you're doing everything you should be doing. Because every church communicator I've ever met, including when I was a church communicator, had too much to do on their plates. Little aside here, if you feel like that something is part of your job and you can't do it yourself because you're overwhelmed, there is nothing wrong with outsourcing bits and pieces of your job so you can oversee it rather than actually take the time and do it, and you can have time for other things that you're supposed to be doing. Pastors understand this, right? We talked about this a few episodes back. Pastors, they have servants' hearts. We want to serve. We want to be the ones to help. We are willing to stand at the pulpit, or we are willing to stay late and clean out the bathrooms. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue comes when you've got hospital visits, counseling, service planning, event planning, networking, going out, supporting, discipling, equipping your people. And meanwhile, the bathroom's getting dirty. You got to hire someone. You got to hire custodians to take care of the facilities. We hire youth pastors to equip, disciple, nurture, and take care of our youth and kids. Eventually, your church gets big enough, you need a facilities manager. You need an executive pastor. You need a pastoral receptionist. You need a main receptionist. You might need ministry overseers for missions, right? We all know that you cannot do everything, and the marketing is one of that. But you need someone who will not take advantage of you, meaning they know the church's needs, they know how to work with the church, they know how to speak the church language, and they know, spoiler alert, they know how to support your mission. And we're going to talk about that because so often these church marketing companies don't know they have red flags. They're waving a flag, they think it's the green flag. They're saying, let's go, go, go. And really it's a red flag. It's, hey, this is going to be a problem going forward. And unfortunately, it's something that I've had to learn. Not always something that you can see coming. So that's why I wanted to make this episode here to give you some of these red flags. I actually had something totally different planned for episode 23, talking about why the church needs church marketing. But after this week, I had two stories, which I'll share with you later. I had two stories about former agencies that have taken advantage of these church clients that we have. And I was like, I gotta put something out there because again, it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's just not understanding that they're not equipped or ill-equipped to serve your church. I will tell you though, there are some people out there that will take advantage of you. And they know churches are easy targets. And I'm actually one of them because I was scammed at my church. I come into the office. I'm just this green-faced kid, just hired to do the IT and media support. This is before I really did communications. I was doing more IT stuff and video media stuff for the church. And I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, probably fiddling my fingers because I was trying to figure out how to build a website at the time. Trying to figure things out, and I get a phone call, and I answer the phone, and there's a gentleman on the other end. He sounds like he's a jolly individual who's probably wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He's just that kind of guy, right? You can't imagine him without a smile. That's how this dude sounds. And he's calling for Harold. Harold is the guy that last had my job, had the position that I took over. He went to pursue other interests, and I took his job. Or I took the position. I didn't take his job. And he's like, oh, well, that's too bad. I always told Harold that, one day I was going to go to Hawaii, and I was calling him to tell him to thank him for his business because that day has come. I just booked my tickets to Hawaii. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Again, green-faced kid, no alarm bells are coming off here or going off here. And he said, now, let me introduce myself. My name is I don't even know anymore. I've been supplying your church with printer ink the last few years. Got to know Harold really well. We also do a couple other things, but printer ink is our main thing. And I said, cool. And he said, I would like to show my appreciation of meeting you and kind of celebrate here. I'd like to send you a few cases of printer ink. And if you use them, great, we'll send you an invoice. If you don't use them, don't like them, send them back. Let me know. We won't charge you anything for them. Again, green-faced kid. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, send them over. In fact, even the next Sunday, I find Harold, because again, he's still going to our church. He's just not working there anymore. Find Harold in the sound booth, and I say, Harold, this guy called from this company, and he said, oh, yeah, I know him. And yeah, he wanted to tell you he's going to Hawaii finally. And Harold was like, oh, that's great. Good for him. I was like, okay. So no alarm bells are going off. They send the ink, get it in a box, put it in the printer. It's okay. It streaks a little bit. It's not the best quality ink. So I call him and I tell him, hey, I don't want to use the ink. And he's like, all right, don't worry about it. You keep it. We won't invoice you anything. Well, then I get an invoice. And it says that we owe $70. No. $70 sounds too cheap, but let's say $70. That's what I pay for ink here. $70 for ink. And I'm like, oh, this is a mistake. So I called the vendor back. Doesn't answer. I say, hey, I thought I canceled this. You said we were good, so I'm just going to go ahead and ignore this invoice. Well, come a short time later, I'm talking like weeks, we get at the church collections calls. And unfortunately, the receptionist answers the phone, and she gets reamed. Your church owes us this money. How dare you not do the Jesus thing and pay us this money? You owe us this money. Plus, we already sent out the next thing of ink. And so, you actually owe us 2 invoices because you didn't tell us to cancel. It was bad. I walk in the office. I have no idea what's happening. And pastor is talking to the receptionist and is like, hey, do you know anything about this? And I said, oh yeah. He said this and he said, I didn't like, if we didn't like it, we'd have to pay for it. I called him back. He never answered. And he's like, well, we're going to have to get our lawyers involved because, and then fill in the blanks there. So even though there was a probably legitimate agency or vendor who did some good work in the past for our church, when I came in, they thought, here's an easy target. Here's someone we can take advantage of because this green kid doesn't know how this scam works. Even though I wouldn't call it a scam really because, they did deliver ink. It was just subpar. And the scammy part is they never canceled or didn't hold to their word and then made threatening calls to us as a church. So, you've got to trust someone. Okay. That's just part of the deal, but you have to have a cautious trust. That's what I learned that day is I need people to lean on and be in support, but it has to be cautiously. I have to know how to look for these red flags. One more story. One of the things that I often get asked about is clients will get emails and sometimes even faxes about, hey, your domain is about to expire. Your domain security is about to expire. You're going to lose your URL, fbechurch.gov or whatever, .gov.org or whatever it is, ftcchurch.com. I don't know. It's like, you're going to lose it. Pay us $200, $300 to renew it for the next year. And I get calls or we get emails that say, hey, is this legit? Is this for you? Is this from you? Is this something we owe? And every time the answer is no. Because these people look for small businesses and they look for churches that are easily scared, are probably overly faithful and take people's overly trusting and take people's at their message at their word, and will just pay the money. And they make thousands of dollars a day doing this, just sending out faxes and threatening phone calls and threatening emails. And I'm glad. I tell all my clients, anything like this comes across your desk, you email me. I will vet it for you and tell you if this is legitimate or not. And 99 times out of 100, it's a scam. One time, sometimes something goes to them that's actually meant for us. And it's just a miscommunication, or, the company's trying to upsell and they find our number instead of the church, or excuse me, they find the church's number, not knowing that we're running the show, because we don't put our name on our websites. So you can't just, you got to be cautious in who you trust. So what I want to do today is tell you a few things to look out for when you're hiring someone, whether it's a freelancer or an agency, to help run the marketing for your church. This includes your logo design, branding, one-off projects, social media graphics even, but also some of the more work-intensive projects that also involve creative. Your website, your SEO, your Facebook ads, even your Facebook management, your Google profile, anything having to do with PR outreach. You can't just hire anyone. Okay. In fact, I would say you can't even hire the best marketing agency in your town, or someone that someone else, a networked friend or a colleague, former colleague, or even someone a business uses locally. You can't just use any agency. An agency needs to have a church focus to help you achieve your church marketing goals. Now, what that means is it means two things. It doesn't just mean, hey, we want to get you more leads that can become prospects to come to church, or we can get you more guests, or we can get you more website traffic. Anyone can do that, okay? You need an agency that's church focused, meaning they understand the mission of the church, but then also understand how to work within the confines and boundaries of the church organization as a structure, as an entity. A lot of agencies I talk to hate working with churches and nonprofits because you have to go through a board or a committee, or the pastor makes the decision to work with them, but then they have to work with volunteers, and they hate that. They're not equipped to handle that. They're not equipped to do nighttime phone calls because pastors bivocational. They're not equipped to understand the intricate needs that a church website has. Like, hey, we might have to put bylaws on the site, or we need to have individual ministries that all follow the same design structure, but we can't charge them $1,000 per page because they just can't do that, right? So you need to make sure that whoever you're working with in an agency or freelance capacity understands how to work within the boundaries of the church. They need to know that they're going to have to get on a Zoom call sometimes to speak with a committee. They need to know the sales cycle is longer. They can't just call one decision maker and keep hounding him because it's the pastor, when actually the finances sit with one committee, the maintenance sits with another one, and the check signer is a deacon who doesn't come to church in the middle of the week except to sign checks on every third Tuesday of the month, right? And agencies get very impatient with that. And so they're not equipped to handle that. And so when they need to get on the phone with the pastor or with the committee member, they call the pastor, and the pastor's in the hospital. The pastor can't answer the phone, or he does answer the phone. He has no idea what's going on. Or the opposite, they only want to work with the pastor. And if they're not structured right, they're going to be calling the pastor every other day, or you, pastor, they're calling you every day, trying to ask you questions that you have no sense in knowing or dealing with. They don't understand the boundaries that must exist within a healthy church leadership culture. They will break those boundaries, or they will be stopped dead in their tracks by them and not understand how to move forward. And so they need to understand that there are a lot of folks that are really good at selling. Sometimes I get to be one of them. And they don't understand that the church has different needs. Okay. Because if you're doing lead generation for a business, you're going to go out and get whatever you can to get them a qualified lead and just send 1,000 leads a week to a business because they can handle it. If I sent you 1,000 names to your church, we'd be very excited, but they're all going to be low quality, burned out, or you're not going to get to them. So when you call them in 6 months, they're going to say, hey, I don't need you. I already found something else. And it may not have been a church. So there has to be a focus in understanding how the church operates in order to best serve you. And in best serving your church, a marketing agency not only needs to have a church focus, but they need to be result focused and mission oriented. More specifically, they need to be your mission oriented. Let's break that down. Number one, they need to be results oriented. Okay. Imagine you go to the doctor and you say, "Hey doc, my knee hurts." And the doc says, "Okay, here, take these pills." You know what pills you're taking? Are they for inflammation? Are they for pain? Are they for blood thinning? He didn't even look at your knee. He just gave you a bottle of pills and said, "Take this." I'd be a little concerned. And so the same thing when you go to someone for, say, a website and say, "Hey, we need a website." And they say, "Great, here's a great one for you. Here's one that we did for someone else and it worked really well." Well, they never really figured out, who is your church? Who's it for? Who are you best equipped to serve? What kind of website do you need? What do you need a website to do for your church? What is the mission of your church? Pastor, anything you do, including your website, needs to be aligned with the mission of your church. That's why I put in the thumbnail here, avoid these kinds of agencies at all costs. That includes really small costs. I don't care if your website is $20 a month. If it doesn't align with your church mission, it is a bad investment and bad stewardship. You need someone or an agency that is results oriented, and they must be your results oriented. Pastor, what do you want to see? More baptisms? How is the website going to help? Do you want to see more people in your church on Sundays? How are the Facebook ads going to help? Do you want to see more people making a commitment to follow Jesus Christ? How does the logo help? Everything we do needs to align with your goals. That's why your website's not working. It's not because the design is outdated, although that's a part. The main reason it doesn't work is because it doesn't align with your mission. If you are a church that is looking to make disciples who make disciples, how does the website play in that? It gets into church. Does the church service play a role in that? And if so, if you say your church is more than a building, why is your website focused on getting people to a building? And the only focus of that. You understand? So there needs to be a focus on the results. If you are looking to make disciples who make disciples, your website should have discipleship training in it. If you're looking to bring a new kind of person to your church, your logo design and your brand identity needs to speak to that kind of person. If you're looking to get more relationships and more people in a small group, your Facebook ads should be relationship oriented to start and nurture conversations, not just get people to a building. It makes no sense to me that churches want to grow their small groups and they think the first step is to get more people to church. That's not the case. So the agency or person you need to work with needs to understand what your goals are, and they need to understand your mission. And also, it'd be good for them to know your vision, because their website needs to play a part of that. Not only how does it help your mission and vision now, but what will it look like when your mission and vision are closer to being accomplished? Which I understand your mission and vision are never really quite there. A vision is just a static image of a dynamic flux. But at the same time, your website needs to grow with your church. And that's why so many websites, they don't grow with the church, and so it looks outdated when really it's not the design that's outdated, it's the usage of it. It's the way it presents your church. And then not only that, they need to be your mission focused. I think I kind of already, I'm like getting ahead of my notes here. They need to be your mission focused, okay? My mission as an agency runner is to hire the right people and to get results for my clients. But also above that, I need to help this church heal 1,000 people next year. I need to help this church send 30 people next year. I need to help this church build a launch team of 35 people. I need to help this pastor reach 10,000 people in his community. I know the mission of every church, even if it's only a 5-year goal. We understand the mission. It always goes back to that. In fact, when I have my web designers and even the branding guys, before they open up a new project, they have to go over the story of the church, the mission of the church, the vision, the goals of the church, and everything that our team does must come back to that mission. So if someone says, "Hey, come to our church," and I say, The primary purpose of this website is to introduce people to Jesus. It is a church website, but the primary purpose, Pastor said, he doesn't care if people forget about the church. He does care if they forget about Jesus. So the primary purpose of that church website that we are building right now is Jesus. And it really is an evangelism tool more than it is a church website. But we both believe, and it's very non-traditional, that if he can get people to trust in Jesus, he wants to see the kingdom grow more than his church. That's what he wants for a website. That's what we're going to do. We're not doing plan a visit. We're not doing look at all our great ministries. We're saying look at Jesus, and here's what he did for you. And when you want to take that next step, or when you have questions, shoot us a question. We got web chat, live chat on the site. And then when people come in, they know exactly where they are in that discipleship flow. That's pretty cool. But other agencies aren't going to do that. They're going to look at, okay, you want a website? Here's a really great one over here that's really pretty. You want that one? Here, this one's got this fancy bell and whistle. And in 2 to 3 years, you're going to realize that pretty website with all the bells and whistles is not doing anything for your church. And you're going to be making more phone calls. Your website should last as long as your pastor. Okay? Unless technology changes, your church's message should be longer lasting than your pastorship. Your church website should be longer lasting than your pastorship. So if you're changing pastors every 7 years, you should not be changing your website every 3 years. And we can talk about how sad that could be for pastors to be changing churches every 7 years. That's a different discussion. This is a marketing show. Hello. But I have enough of these conversations with my clients. Your website needs to be mission focused. Your Facebook ads needs to be mission focused. And then you need to have some results. They need to know what kind of results you want. You don't want a Facebook ad. You want 50 people to come to your Christmas service. You don't want a Google ad. You want 10,000 people to see an article that you wrote about Jesus. You don't want a new logo. You want people to remember the church. So whenever you hire an agency or a freelancer or whoever you outsource to, they need to understand what your goals are. They need to have a plan to meet those goals. And then they need to understand your mission, and everything that they do for you needs to bleed out of that mission. The last thing that you need to look at for when you're outsourcing, and this one is very important to me. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I started my own agency, is an over-the-top customer service. We have certain promises that we make because that's important to me. And a lot of folks come to us. And in fact, the thing that broke the camel's back this morning when I decided an hour ago, that's why we were late going live here, to change the topic of today's message is because twice this week I was told that we are more responsive, more generous, more reliable than the previous agencies that these churches have hired. And even one of them was even a Christian agency. And I can think of another one that hired me because their last webmaster was a Christian and then decided to turn from the faith. So they wanted to cut ties. And I agree with that or not, that's just what it was. But they were unsatisfied with the customer service aspect of the last agency. It's very important to me that customer service remain number one, and it should remain even higher for churches. Because as churches, we have unreasonable goals because we believe in an unreasonable God who did unreasonable things. And so our customer service needs to be quite unreasonable. I mentioned earlier, a lot of agencies only work from 9 to 5, which makes it really hard to get committees together to talk to the agency. Then you end up communicating through email, which no one likes because you can't get your point across. And then you're just trying to draw on screenshots. Hey, I like this instead, or I want this. You've got agencies that don't understand churches' needs. I've had to call people before and like, hey, we need this because we're a church, and they say, well, you don't need that. I said, yeah, but we do because we're a church. We have unique use cases. They didn't understand. They don't understand. A lot of agencies don't understand having a rotating media piece on the front page. Like, that's weird. You're not a media agency. No, we're a church. That's why we need that. And a lot of churches, they can't even, a lot of pastors tell me they can't even call their web people or their SEO people. Like they don't even have a phone number. I have to fill in a ticket and wait for them to get back to me. Whereas we have a guaranteed 48-hour response, whether we have the answer or not. And that's guaranteed. Realistically, it's more like around less than 12 hours to like have an answer for you. And that's just, it's so sad to me that people don't support their customers, but more specifically, they don't support the church. So this becomes very important. So you need to have someone that has customer service. They need to answer the phone when you call them. Okay, ain't nobody got time to submit a ticket and then get an email and get excited. Oh, they finally replied. And it's all it is an email that says, hey, we got your message. Someone will look at it within the next 2 to 5 business days. Ugh. You need to be able to call someone when you have an issue, not, hey, go online and look at the issue, right? Someone that will walk you through things, even remote in and say, hey, look, let me take a look at what it's doing on your computer. Someone that would even bounce ideas off. Hey, this sounds like I heard about this. Oh, you don't want that. Why not? Well, we can't do it. Bro, if you think that will work, let's work it out. Let's make some recommendations. Let's get this for your church because we know your mission. We know the results you want to see. So let's make it happen. That falls under a little bit of coaching, but that's just, again, the kind of culture that I've wanted to build around here. So, there needs to be over-the-top customer service. So when you're looking for, let's talk about the red flag. So when you're looking for an agency, a big red flag is they don't return your calls when they say they will. They don't meet with you when you're best able. Now, I'm not saying they should be slaves to your schedule, but they should be able to have an evening meeting if that's the only time, Pastor, that you can meet. They should answer the phone or call you back or at least text you back when you're talking about a project. They should treat customer service like salespeople, right? Salespeople are going to answer the phone. Salespeople are going to text you back. Salespeople are going to reply to emails. But once you become a customer, they're so busy trying to get new customers, they've totally forgotten about you. And as long as there's new customers they're trying to get, they won't answer your emails. They won't return your calls. That's a problem. That's a problem. So that's a red flag. They don't answer the phone or they don't call you back right away. Another red flag is, I don't know how to describe it other than not being hungry enough. Now, this is more in the when you're still courting, so to speak, and they don't follow up with you. They don't call you back responsively. They don't present to you out of the box ideas like, hey, I want to reach 50 people. Okay, well, I know we're talking about a website, but actually there may be another way that we can do this for you in addition to the website. And they help you, again, get to your goal, even though it's not necessarily a deliverable. So they can't just say, okay, well, that'll be $10,000. Here's a proposal. Let us know when you're ready. Bro, I ain't hiring that guy. They need to be hungry. They need to work for it. They need to follow up. I'm not saying they need to schmooze you, Pastor, but they need to care. They need to act like they care. If they don't care before you've paid their money, they're not going to care anymore after they've gotten your money. Does that make sense? It's kind of like Pastor would tell a story of premarital counseling. It was postmarital counseling. It was counseling after they were married. And the wife was like, he's such a slob. We got married. He's supposed to clean up his act. And Pastor's like, just because you say I do doesn't mean your husband's going to start picking up the socks. Well, Pastor, just because you say I do, let's do this project, doesn't mean they're all of a sudden going to start answering your calls if they never did. Red flag. Okay. Along the same lines, emailing you in the middle of the night. Red flag. Okay. I'm not saying that it's bad to have international workers. I'm saying they should understand that you don't need to wake up to weird, mentally clogging. I mean, your mind is mentally clogged enough in the morning. You don't need website questions the first thing when you wake up on your phone or the first thing in your inbox. Okay. So they need to like work on your schedule and a typical American schedule. And customer service, man, they need to provide support, a lot of continuing support. A lot of website people call me and they're like, yeah, we had a guy build it, but he doesn't do anything with it and he didn't want to. or he built it and handed it off to us and we can't get back a hold of him, right? There needs to be ongoing support. And I know I'm talking a lot about websites. It's just something that's real easy to communicate the message across, but this applies for your branding. Someone does your logo branding. They should be able to continue to support you with graphic templates, continuing to design your publications or sermon graphics using your not sermon graphics, but slide graphics for your pre-service, post-service, anything like that, using your branding. They should be able to continue to support them, not say one and done, because then you don't know what to do. And if you say none of that's important to you, if you say none of that is important to you, you just need a website. You just need a website. It doesn't have to be fancy. You just need a website. It doesn't have to be fancy. And I don't need to have my hand held. Okay. Then the question is, why is this an issue now? If you don't need your hand held, why are you asking about a new website? Because this should not have been a problem in the first place, right? It's kind of like a fat dude, me, former fat dude, saying, I don't need help, I'm fine. If you're fine, past Justin, why do you break a sweat and get out of breath putting your socks on? Took me a lot of counseling to get through that. So you've got to have someone in your corner. Look, if you don't believe me, if you want to see what good service is, and this is my time to brag, okay? If you want to see good service, get a 360 church marketing consult. Go to 360.novachurchmarketing.com. There's a link down below. Get your consult, and you will see what it's like to have someone answer the phone, to send you to answer your text messages, to meet with you on Zoom, to walk you through this. And guess what? For churches, we're going to do this pro bono. We only do a few, so you've got to. There's a little bit of an application process. You got to give us some information. We got to ask you some questions on the phone, just to make sure that we are equipped to help you with this, because we're going to spend some money on it ourselves. And so, you're going to have someone that actually cares about your church. And then when we ask these questions, we're going to figure out, what is your mission? What do you want to see God do in your church? How can we best support that mission and vision? If you want to meet in the evenings, we're going to meet with you in the evenings. It is my dream, my vision, to have 24-hour customer service and sales support. So if a pastor can only meet at 10 p.m. at night after his double shift, because he's tri-vocational, we will meet with him at 10 p.m. Right now, that's me. But we will do that because that's how much we care to support the church and the weird schedule and the weird committee structure that churches have. We are ready to do that. So 360.novachurchmarketing.com. Get your free consult. You're going to get the roadmap anyways of everything that you can be doing, whether you do it yourself or you outsource that to us or not. Because you need someone in your corner. Even the greatest, Muhammad Ali, the greatest, was not the greatest by himself. He had someone in his corner. What do they call it? The corner man? No. He didn't do it himself. You don't need to do it yourself. And dare I say, you'll do it better when you don't do it yourself. These are the church marketing agency red flags, or really any marketing agency red flags for churches specifically. If you have any questions, give us a call, 832-861-7654. Leave a comment down below. We answer all of our comments, or I will answer all of our comments. And God bless you guys wherever you're watching. Like the video so more pastors, more church leaders can see it. Subscribe so you always see our new videos. God bless, and I will see you guys next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.